It was a Tuesday, just after lunch, and I was sitting at my desk confirming our honeymoon itinerary. Cancun, 5 nights, all-inclusive, ocean view. The travel agent was waiting for my approval when I got a message from Brielle. Hey, heads up, Shayla's having some doubts. She's just scared you can't give her the life she's always pictured. The high-rise condo, river-view, that kind of thing. She said if you really want to prove you're serious, you'd buy her the condo before the wedding. I just stared at the screen. For a full minute, I didn't even blink. Let me back up a second. My name's Danny. I'm 32, live in Cincinnati, and work in quality assurance for a medical device company. I make good money, not flashy money. I drive a used Ford Fusion, don't carry debt, and have been socking away savings every month since I was 23. I was planning to propose with a down payment on a house next year. Guess that wasn't enough. That message from Brielle? It wasn't phrased like a joke. It was a test, a demand wrapped in fake concern. And it didn't come from nowhere. Shayla had a thing for image. Designer bags, bottomless brunches, her dream board full of penthouses and luxury cars. I thought it was harmless fantasy stuff, until Brielle decided to deliver an ultimatum on her behalf. I didn't respond right away. My hands were steady, but my jaw was clenched so tight I thought I'd crack a molar. I read the message again, then again. I didn't get angry. I got cold, focused. I typed one word back. Noted. Then I picked up the phone. First I called the venue. Cancellation fee waived due to coercive financial pressure. The florist? Cancelled. The photographer? DJ? Even the pastry chef who was halfway through designing a 6-tier lemon lavender cake. Gone. Every vendor, one after the other. Same reason. Same tone. No yelling. No drama. Just business. By 5 o'clock, the wedding was off. I packed up my laptop, told my boss I needed a few days off, and walked out. I didn't even bother checking my phone, because I already knew what kind of explosion was waiting. By the time I got home, my phone was blowing up like it owed people money. For missed calls from Shayla, 2 voicemails from her mom, Nora, texts stacked like bricks, Shayla, Brielle, a few random friends. One from Shayla just said, "Talk to me, please. I don't even know what's happening." Yeah, right. I dropped my keys on the counter, sat on the couch, and let it all keep buzzing. I wasn't in the mood to give anyone the courtesy of a quick reply, not after that little real estate stunt. Then Brielle texted. Long paragraph. Zero accountability. This is getting way out of hand. You're blowing everything up over a misunderstanding. Shayla never said she needed a condo to marry you. It was just girl talk. She was venting. You took it too literally. Venting? That wasn't venting. That was a demand with a price tag and a deadline. Before I could even think about replying, my phone rang again. Nora this time. I let it go to voicemail like the others, but she called right back. And again. On the 4th try, I answered. "Danny," she said, sounding breathless. "I just got a call from Shayla. She's crying. She said you canceled everything. What's going on?" I didn't waste time. "Your daughter's best friend told me the wedding was conditional on buying a condo," I said flatly. "I don't do ultimatums." So I shut it down. "Oh my God, what?" she gasped. "No, that's not. It wasn't like that. That's not how it was meant. Brielle. She's dramatic. You know how girls talk. They weren't serious." "You call that girl talk?" I said. "I call it manipulation." Brielle didn't joke. She sent me a straight-up message saying I had to buy a condo before the wedding to prove I was serious. That's extortion with throw pillows. Nora tried to keep calm, but her voice cracked a little. "Look, I know Shayla's had big dreams. Maybe some unrealistic ones. She made the vendor bookings herself, Nora. All under her name. I cut in. The contract for the venue? Hers. The caterer? Hers. She insisted on controlling the process, remember? So any financial loss, hers." She paused. "Danny, we can fix this. She's just under a lot of pressure, that's all." "Pressure to treat a marriage like a lease agreement?" I snapped. "No, I'm not fixing that." There was a silence, long enough that I thought she hung up. Then, soft and slow, she said, "I'll talk to her." "Yeah, you should." I hung up before she could keep dancing around it. I took a breath, stared at my screen again, and finally typed one message to Shayla. "No fluff, no second chances. Your best friend said a condo would prove I'm serious. That's not a marriage. That's a business deal." Sent. I turned my phone on silent and tossed it across the couch. My inbox was still flooding, the icons stacking faster than I could clear them. But none of them mattered now. That line had been crossed. Not with fire or screaming, but with expectation. A price tag on commitment. That's what did it. Let them scramble. Let them explain. I was done. I stayed at Marcus's place for 3 nights. Gave myself space. Let the dust kick up where it needed to. When I finally walked back into my apartment, the air was still and stale, but not empty. Shayla was sitting on the couch, crying into a tissue like she was filming a scene. Nora stood behind her, arms crossed tight. Brielle was leaning against the wall like she owned the place. And next to her was Candace, Shayla's older sister, human guilt trip in heels. The second I shut the door, Shayla shot up. "Danny, what the hell is going on?" she wailed. "You disappeared and canceled everything without even talking to me?" "Because there was nothing to talk about," I said, calm as hell. Brielle stepped forward, arms flailing like she was directing traffic. "You completely twisted what I said. That text wasn't a demand. It was just an idea, something Shayla mentioned in passing. You overreacted like a lunatic." I pulled out my phone without a word, tapped a few times, then read it out loud. "If you bought her the condo before the wedding, it would show you're serious. That's always been her dream." I let it hang in the room. Candace jumped in, trying the soft-spoken routine. "Look, maybe things were said in the wrong way, but do you have any idea how much money is tied up in this wedding? Shayla's out almost $17,000. You blindsided her." I turned to her. "You want to talk about money? I've been saving for 5 years. 2 promotions. No debt. Built a solid credit score and a down payment fund. All while living under my means in a 2-bedroom rental. But sure, let's cry over the deposits on a wedding I was basically being extorted into." Shayla stood up, mascara streaked down her cheeks. "I just wanted more for us, Danny. Is that so wrong? I wanted someone who saw bigger things. You're so content just existing." "You mean someone who makes reckless financial decisions so you can post apartment tours on TikTok?" I snapped. "I had bigger plans, Shayla. Real ones. A house, a family, a stable life. Not a skyline view you can't afford." Brielle scoffed. "Wow, so it's all about money now? You're punishing her for dreaming." "No," I said. "I'm punishing myself if I stay in this." Nora finally spoke. "Danny, honey, I think everyone got a little carried away." I cut her off. "No, everyone knew. Every one of you sat in this and said nothing to me. You let Brielle be the messenger. That's not a miscommunication. That's manipulation." They all froze. Even Shayla, who now looked less heartbroken and more cornered. She sniffled hard, then stiffened her jaw. "If you don't make this right, I'll sue for the losses. You canceled everything. You'll owe me every cent." I didn't blink. "You'll sue me for not buying you a condo and walking into a marriage I no longer trusted?" "I'll sue for breach of agreement," she hissed. "Verbal or not, we were set to be married. There's financial damage." I tilted my head. "You want to go legal? Go ahead. Let's talk about coercive behavior. Texts, screenshots, witnesses." Candace's eyes flicked to Brielle, who suddenly wouldn't make eye contact. No one said another word. I walked to the kitchen, grabbed a bottle of water, and took a sip like it was just any other Thursday. They didn't follow me. They just stood there, frozen in the wreckage they built. They left without another word. I didn't watch them go. I just heard the front door shut like a gavel hitting the desk. Next morning, I woke up to an email with the subject line, "Legal Action Notice," from Shayla's cousin, Jeremy. He called himself an independent associate at Foster & Rowe, which I knew meant he was a part-time lawyer who mostly wrote wills for retired couples. But he was swinging hard. "My client, Shayla N. has suffered both emotional and financial damages due to your abrupt and unjustified cancellation of the wedding. You are liable for $18,000 in vendor deposits and psychological distress caused by breach of verbal engagement agreement. I didn't finish reading. I forwarded it straight to Lena. She's not just a friend. She's a corporate lawyer who eats NDAs for breakfast and once shut down a Fortune 500 with a single letter. I told her what was going on. She called me 5 minutes later. "This is cute," she said. "You want me to burn him or nuke him? Just make it hurt," I said. "But clean." By lunch, she had the draft ready. For pages. Attached screenshots of Brielle's message. Legal references to coercion, undue influence, and malicious interference. A cease and desist clause for Shayla, Brielle, and Jeremy. My favorite line: "Any further harassment will be escalated to formal legal action under Ohio Revised Code 2905.12. I hit send. Never heard from Jeremy again. But Shayla didn't stay quiet. That same night, my phone started buzzing with anonymous DMs. Stuff like, "Real men don't abandon women when they're vulnerable. Financial abuse is still abuse. Hope your wallet keeps you warm at night, loser." Some had no names, no pics. Others were Shayla's friends in fake accounts. I checked her Instagram. Sure enough, there it was. A string of cryptic stories, photos of her crying. A black screen with the words, "Some people only love you when it's easy." Another, "Manipulators always play the victim after breaking you." No names, but it wasn't subtle. I didn't post anything at first. Thought about just walking away from it all. Then I thought, nah. If she wants to run her mouth in public, we're going public. So I posted everything. The full text from Brielle. The condo message. The date, the time, the context. A caption that said, "This is why I canceled the wedding. Decide for yourselves." It blew up. Quiet at first. Then the tide turned. Madison, one of Shayla's bridesmaids, unfollowed her and DM'd me. "I didn't know she actually said that. I'm sorry. You made the right call." 2 more friends messaged later that day. One said, "She left that whole part out." The other, "She always lets Brielle run her mouth for her. You were smart to walk." Shayla's comment section went dark after that. No more vague quotes. No more sad selfies. Just silence. She wanted a condo. What she got was a reckoning. 2 days after the post went up, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Cincinnati area code. I almost ignored it. Thought it might be another burner trying to call me abusive for not handing over real estate, but something told me to answer. "Danny?" the voice said. I paused. "Yeah. Who's this?" "It's Ron," he said. "Shayla's father." I stood up without realizing it. "Okay." He cleared his throat. "You got a minute?" I waited for the guilt trip, the emotional pitch, the "you broke my daughter's heart" speech I'd been mentally prepping for. Instead, he sighed like a man who'd been waiting too long to say what needed saying. "I saw the screenshots," he said. "All of them." Silence on my end. "If she really thought a marriage starts with a condo," he went on, "then she's not ready to be anyone's wife, especially not yours." I didn't know what to say. I had to sit back down. "I told her I'm pulling every cent I offered for that wedding," he said flat. "I'm not paying for a pity party or a photo shoot. She made this mess. She can clean it. She put everything in her name," I said quietly. "Insisted on it. Every single vendor." "I know," he said, "and I let her. Figured it was her way of taking control, showing she could handle it. But it wasn't about independence. It was about image. All of this has been." I rubbed my temples. "She's not a bad person, Ron. But she's been chasing this fantasy that doesn't exist." He let out a short laugh. No humor in it. "She's been chasing Brielle," he said. "That girl has poisoned more of Shayla's thinking than I can even understand. Flashy crap, designer bags, vacations she can't afford. It's all status over substance. And she's not the only one." "You think she actually believed I'd buy her a condo to fix things?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. Then, I think she believed the condo would make her feel secure, important, like she had it all figured out. And I think Brielle told her that if she couldn't get it out of you now, she never would. That hit harder than anything else so far, because it felt true. She's blaming everyone but herself, Ron said. Tried to blame me for not warning her. I told her straight, when you try to buy a marriage before you earn one, this is what happens. I sat there, phone to my ear, heart slower than it had been in weeks. You didn't humiliate her, Danny. She did that to herself. And frankly, I respect the hell out of how you handled it. That last part stuck with me. It was the first time someone on her side hadn't tried to spin it, soften it, or sweep it under a rug. Thanks, I said finally, for saying that. Don't thank me, he replied. Just keep doing what you're doing. You dodged a bullet. We hung up after that. No awkward wrap-up. No fake promises to keep in touch. Just mutual clarity between two men who finally saw the same thing. For the first time since the whole mess started, I didn't feel defensive or furious. I just felt grounded. The next day at work, I got a ping from HR. Short email. Subject line, private meeting request. I already knew what it was before I opened it. I walked in calm. My manager and the HR rep, Rachel, were both sitting there with carefully blank faces. We received an anonymous complaint, Rachel said. It alleges emotionally abusive behavior in your personal relationship that may reflect on your professional environment. I didn't even flinch. Shayla's people? We're not speculating, she said quickly. We just want to give you a chance to respond or provide any relevant context. I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshots folder I'd already prepared, and handed it over. Read the first 3, I said. That's the full context. They scrolled in silence. I sat back and waited. After a few minutes, Rachel set the phone down. Thank you for bringing this in. This doesn't meet any threshold of policy violation. We'll document it internally, but there's no impact to your standing here. Appreciate it, I said. And if they keep escalating, I've got legal counsel ready. Rachel nodded. Understood. That was it. No lectures. No passive-aggressive warnings. Just procedure and closure. But the night had more waiting for me. Around 9, there was a knock on my door. I opened it without checking. Brielle, wearing a skin-tight sweater, makeup done like she was going out for drinks, holding a to-go cup of something that smelled like overpriced espresso. I crossed my arms. Seriously, she didn't waste time. You overreacted, Danny. Again. This whole thing could still be fixed. Fixed how? I said. She took a step in uninvited. I didn't stop her. I talked to Shayla, she said, walking in like she owned the place. She doesn't expect a condo now, but maybe something else? A designer bag? A luxury weekend? Just something to show her you're still invested. I shut the door behind her and leaned against it. This isn't about money, I said flatly. This is about trust and values, and the fact that you thought it was okay to speak on her behalf, negotiate her love like it was a transaction. Brielle rolled her eyes. Oh, come on, Danny. This is how relationships work. Give and take. You think any woman wants a guy who shows up with logic and budgeting spreadsheets? I think the right woman values stability over status. I shot back. And clearly that wasn't Shayla. Her whole face changed, mask off. So you're just gonna throw away everything you two built? Over your pride? You're seriously letting pride ruin something special. I walked past her to the kitchen, grabbed a glass of water, and drank it slow. Then I turned and said, if something special needs a bribe to survive, it's not love. She didn't answer. She stared at me for a long second, like she couldn't believe I hadn't cracked by now. Then she scoffed, turned on her heel and walked out. Didn't even close the door behind her. I let it swing shut on its own. By the next morning, Shayla was back on Instagram, posting like it was her job. One story said, some people never intended to stay. They just waited for an excuse to leave. Another was a picture of her hand with no ring and the caption, resetting my standards. Again, I didn't take the bait. I scrolled past, muted her stories, and got on with my day. But people noticed. By that weekend, a couple of Shayla's friends started messaging me. Madison was first. "I just want to say I'm sorry for judging you. I didn't know what Brielle said. That crossed a line." Then came Danny, the one who used to double date with us. "You don't deserve the stuff being said about you. It's gotten out of hand." I didn't reply to most of them, but I read every word. Not because I needed validation, but because I wanted to see who was waking up. The group chat Shayla once ruled like a queen cracked wide open. Apparently she lost almost 17 grand in non-refundable deposits. Venue kept the full amount. Photographer gave her 20% back out of pity. DJ, florist, makeup artist, nothing. Every one of them pointed to her signature on the contracts. She begged her dad for help. Ron told her, word for word, "You made your bed. Lie in it." I heard all of it through the grapevine. Marcus was tight with Madison's boyfriend. Word traveled fast. Then the fractures started to show. Madison posted a long story calling out toxic expectations and controlling friendships. No names, but everyone knew who it was aimed at. A few hours later, Danny shared a post about reclaiming peace after emotional manipulation. And Brielle? She got iced out hard. The friend group held a dinner without her. She found out from a tagged photo. By the next morning, her name was scrubbed from BIOS and blocked from 2 accounts she used to run with Shayla. One by one, the people who backed her started backing off. Turns out this wasn't her first time playing puppet master behind the scenes. Just the first time someone put the strings on display. Meanwhile, I stuck to my lane. Work, gym, groceries, saving. I didn't post updates or clap back online. Didn't give statements. I just kept showing up to my life like nothing had exploded. But I saw the fallout happening. Quietly, thoroughly, like a building caving in from the inside. Every once in a while, I'd scroll and catch another friend gone from Shayla's profile. Or another vague post about learning who's real. That kind of thing. I didn't feel smug. I felt steady. Because the truth didn't need my help anymore. It had legs of its own. It was a Tuesday night, almost 9, and I was halfway through making dinner when someone knocked. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened the door, Shayla was standing there. Full makeup, fresh blowout, wearing that beige wrap coat she used to post selfies in when she wanted compliments. In her hands was a cardboard box. My hoodie, a charger, a book I forgot I lent her. She gave a weak smile. "Hey!" I leaned on the doorframe. "What do you want, Shayla? Can I come in for a second?" she asked. I didn't move. She sighed and looked down. "I'm not here to fight." I stepped aside without a word. She walked in slow, like she was trying not to trigger a landmine. She set the box down on the table and stood there for a minute, hands clasped in front of her like she was in church. "I've been thinking," she started, "about everything. And I know I messed things up." I didn't answer. She looked over at me. "I got caught up, okay? The pressure, Instagram, the weddings, the condos, everyone posts like their life is perfect, and I didn't want to feel like I was settling." "You thought I was settling?" I said, voice flat. "No, that's not what I meant," she said quickly. "I just meant I wanted us to have more, to feel like we were winning at life. I thought maybe if we started big, it would mean something. You let Brielle send me that message like it was your lawyer serving terms," I said. "You didn't stop her. You didn't correct it. You let it sit." Shayla shook her head. "It wasn't manipulation. You're making it sound like I was scheming." I cut her off. "Then explain why you didn't shut it down the second you saw it." "You knew what she said. You knew what it would look like." She looked like she wanted to lie, but couldn't figure out how. Her mouth opened, then closed. Finally, she sat down and said, "Because I thought it would mean something. That if you really went for it, I'd know how serious you were." I stared at her. "It meant," I said, slow and clear, "that you didn't value the relationship unless there was a price tag on it." Tears welled in her eyes, but I didn't flinch. She stood up again, wiping under her lashes with her knuckle. "I thought maybe we could just talk. Clear the air." "We did," I said. Her hand paused on the doorknob. She waited for me to say something else. I didn't. She left without another word. The door clicked shut behind her, softer than I expected. No final argument. No goodbye. Just silence. That Friday, I met up with Marcus at our usual coffee spot. Corner booth at Java Junction. Cheap mugs. No music, real quiet. He was already there, black coffee in hand, scrolling his phone like he hadn't been waiting at all. I sat down across from him and dropped a little folder on the table. He raised an eyebrow. What's this? Duplex in Norwood. Lena and I are partnering. I'm putting the wedding fund in as my buy-in. Marcus let out a low whistle. So you're turning heartbreak into passive income. I respect it. I smirked. Figured I'd get some long-term equity out of this disaster. He laughed. I still can't believe it. Condo. Before the wedding. Who even thinks like that? Someone who learned from her best friend that status matters more than substance. He nodded but then grinned. At least now you've got a story that'll beat everyone's at the next barbecue. As we talked numbers, rent potential, rehab costs, Lena's contract, my phone buzzed. Instagram notification. I almost ignored it, but curiosity got me. Shayla had posted again. One last shot. Lesson learned. Love without ambition is just friendship in disguise. I rolled my eyes and showed Marcus. She's still going. He snorted. She really doesn't get it. But the real kicker came 20 minutes later. Shayla's dad, Ron, jumped into her comment section with one brutal sentence. Earn before you demand. Marcus choked on his drink laughing. Yo, Ron is my hero now. So that was the end of Shayla's sympathy tour. No more vague quotes. No more self-pity reels. Just radio silence after that. Later that night, I got a DM from someone named Ashley. Hey, I'm a friend of Madison's. Just wanted to say I think you handled the whole situation with a lot of class. If you're ever up for a coffee, let me know. Her profile pic was simple. No filters. No soft lighting or fake candid poses. Just a real smile in front of a bookshelf. I messaged her back. We met the next morning. Coffee again, neutral ground. She pulled up in a 10-year-old Corolla with faded paint and rolled-down windows. I held the door for her, and she thanked me like it actually meant something. 10 minutes into sitting down, she pulled out a literal spreadsheet. Hope this doesn't scare you, she said, laughing. I track everything. Student loans, savings, credit score, all of it. I smiled. That's the most attractive thing I've seen in months. We talked about goals. Real ones. Budgeting, side hustles, owning versus renting, financial boundaries. She even had a 5-year plan to retire her car with cash. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't dramatic. It was real. When we wrapped up, I walked her to her car and told her I'd like to do it again. Same here, she said. Nice not having to pretend for once. I got in my Fusion, cranked the AC, and for the first time in weeks, I actually smiled without faking it. Later that night, I texted Marcus. Might be worth exploring. He just replied, knew it. 3 weeks later, I was sitting on my balcony, drinking black coffee from a chipped mug, looking out at a plain parking lot, and feeling good. No city skyline, no river view, just quiet. That whole storm had finally settled. Shayla? Still paying off her credit cards. She tried selling the ring but didn't get half what she expected. Her dad cut off all financial help. From what I heard, she's ghosting most of her old friends and dodging vendor calls. Brielle's been officially exiled. Group chats deleted. Madison blocked her on everything and posted something about cutting off toxicity, even when it's dressed in designer. Jeremy? Yeah, Mr. Law degree. Word got around. A formal complaint hit his firm's HR last week for ethically questionable conduct in a private matter. He's not fired yet, but they've got eyes on him now. Me? I'm good. Still budgeting. Still investing. I finalized the duplex deal with Lena. We're projecting rental income by January. I meal prep. I hit the gym. I sleep 8 hours a night with no noise in my head. Ashley's still around. Still low-key. Still real. She sends me flight deals instead of Instagram reels about villas in Santorini. Last week she emailed me a link titled, "How to Fly Domestic for Under $200. We're thinking Denver in the fall. Cheap cabin. Fresh air. Zero pressure. I still drive my Fusion. Got a dent on the back bumper and the stereo skips when it rains. But I drive it with pride. No payments. Great mileage. It doesn't scream success, but it runs like a promise I made to myself and actually kept. Looking back now, I can see how close I came to wrecking everything just to please people who didn't even respect me. There's a peace that hits different when you finally stop trying to impress people who want your paycheck more than your presence. I didn't need to flash anything. I didn't need a penthouse or a diamond apology or a prove-it purchase. Turns out, I didn't need to upgrade anything. Just escape the pressure to pretend.